Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into the world of global sponsorships.
Ooh, exciting.
It is. And you know me, always trying to uncover those hidden gems of insight.
Right?
So we're going to be looking at Midea.
Midea, okay.
They're a global home appliance giant, you know?
Yeah.
But what's really cool about this deep dive is
What's that?
we're getting the inside scoop from the sponsorship mastermind himself.
Oh, really? Who's that?
His name's Brando. He's like the architect behind Midea's whole sponsorship strategy.
Interesting. So we're not just hearing about what they did, but like the why behind it.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting. He built this whole strategy around a framework.
Okay.
And he calls it the ice cream deck.
The ice cream deck. Now I'm intrigued.
I know. When I first heard ice cream deck, I was thinking...
Yeah, like a snack break.
Totally. But it's actually a brilliant analogy for how to make strategic decisions. To get started, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. So as you said, I've been following Medea's sponsorship journey for quite some time now.
Okay.
I've had the chance to really dig deep into their campaigns, their partnerships, and their overall strategy.
Cool.
So I think I can shed some light on how they've managed to make such a big splash in the world of sports sponsorships.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, to really understand this shift, we need to introduce everyone to the mastermind behind it all.
Yeah. The man, the myth, the legend, Brando.
Brando. Okay.
He was Medea's global head of brand management and communication.
Wow.
And, get this, he's a former pro swimmer himself.
Whoa. What?
Yeah.
Really?
That's right. A pro swimmer, now leading a global brand strategy for home appliances.
I mean, that's not the usual career path, is it?
Not at all.
I'm guessing that swimming background
It definitely does.
plays into their initial sponsorship choices.
Yeah, you bet it does.
Interesting.
But what's even more interesting
Okay.
is Brando's firm belief in a proactive, strategy-first approach to sponsorship,
Okay.
which he says is often missing in the industry.
Really?
There's actually a great quote where he boldly states,
I love a good core.
yeah, well, this one's a doozy.
Okay.
Anyone not approaching the world's largest home appliance company for a deal should be fired.
Whoa. He doesn't mince words, does he?
Nope, straight shooter that, Brando.
You can already tell.
I can see why you say that.
But I see his point, though.
Yeah.
It makes sense a lot of companies just jump on whatever sponsorship seems trendy at the moment without a clear strategy.
Exactly. They just chase the hype without thinking about the long game.
Yeah.
Brando wanted to avoid that trap.
Right.
He emphasizes how crucial it is to have that strategic foundation in place.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those sponsorship decisions can get kind of derailed by personal preferences of different stakeholders,
Makes sense.
leading to missed opportunities.
Yeah. That's when you end up sponsoring something just because someone's nephew is really into it or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Not because it's actually good for the company.
So true. So Brando was determined to make sure every sponsorship decision for Midea
Right.
was directly tied to their global business goals.
Okay. So how did he go about developing this grand strategy?
Well, it wasn't exactly locking himself in a room with a whiteboard,
Okay.
but he did have a secret weapon.
Ooh, secret weapon. Tell me more.
It's called the ice cream deck.
Ice cream bag.
Ice cream deck.
Okay. I am intrigued.
It's pretty famous within the company.
Is this some kind of delicious metaphor?
It's not about selling ice cream,
Okay.
but it does highlight a challenge.
Okay.
Imagine trying to pick one ice cream flavor that everyone will love.
Yeah. It's impossible.
Exactly. It's impossible to please everybody.
Right.
And creating a sponsorship strategy is kind of like that.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Everyone has their own opinions and preferences.
So the ice cream deck was a way to present a clear, objective way
Yes.
to choose sponsorships.
Yes.
Instead of getting bogged down by personal opinion.
Precisely. It takes the emotion out of the equation,
Smart.
focuses on data
Yeah.
and a clear rationale.
Okay.
It starts broad analyzing various options across music, movies, entertainment, and of course, sports.
Of course.
And then narrows it down to the most strategic choices.
So this ice cream deck was like the foundation for Medea's entire sponsorship approach.
Absolutely. It provided a framework for their decision-making process,
Got it.
ensuring that sponsorships were chosen for their strategic value. Not just because someone in the boardroom happened to like a particular team
Makes sense.
or a celebrity.
Okay, so let's talk about their initial focus on swimming.
Sure.
Given Brando's background, it makes sense, right?
It absolutely does.
A former pro swimmer?
Exactly.
You'd think he'd be drawn to that world?
They sponsored the Chinese national swimming team
Wow.
and even FINA, the International Swimming Federation.
Okay, so big names in swimming.
Big names.
Yeah.
And they even had a pretty big activation at the 2017 FINA World Cup in Budapest.
Cool.
Imagine the marketing possibilities at an event like that.
I mean, swimming is a global sport too, right?
It is.
So you think they would have leveraged those sponsorships
Yeah.
to boost their global brand awareness?
You would think so.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And while swimming was successful for them in China,
Okay.
Brando realized
Yeah.
it wasn't going to cut it on a global scale. There's a part where he actually acknowledges that it was tough to connect swimming to home appliances in a way that would really resonate with a global audience.
Oh, so he saw the limitations.
Yeah.
Even though it was connected to his own passion.
Yeah, he was able to step back and see the bigger picture.
That's pretty insightful.
It is.
So that's when he started pushing for football.
Exactly. He saw the massive global appeal of football.
Makes sense.
Knew it could be the key to unlocking Medea's global brand recognition.
Okay, now I know they ultimately partnered with Manchester City.
One of the biggest names in football.
But wasn't Manchester United his first choice?
You've done your research.
I tried.
You're right back in 2017.
Yeah.
Manchester United was at the top of their game.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like the obvious choice.
All right.
But remember, Manchester City was on the rise too.
They were?
They were a team with a lot of potential and ambition.
It's funny, there's a story here about Brando's first meeting with Manchester City.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
He didn't even recognize one of their star players who came in for a photo.
Yeah, it just goes to show you don't need to be a super fan
Right.
to recognize a good strategic opportunity.
That's a great point.
So how did Midea ultimately land on Manchester City?
Yeah. What tipped the scales in their favor?
Well, Manchester City was on an upward trajectory, and their brand aligned really well with Medea's ambition.
It was a strategic choice.
It was.
Okay.
That reflected their forward-thinking approach.
Sounds like a match made in heaven.
It does.
But wait, didn't the pandemic hit right around the time they launched this partnership?
Talk about bad timing.
Yeah, talk about bad timing.
You're right. The partnership launched in January 2020.
Oh, no.
Just as the world was about to change.
Wow.
There was immense pressure on Brando.
I bet.
To pull out of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been understandable given the circumstances.
Completely understandable.
Yeah.
But Brando stuck to his guns. And it's a testament to their adaptability and their creativity that they managed to not only survive the pandemic, but actually thrive during that really challenging period.
They had to get really creative with their activations.
They did.
So how did they pivot their strategy in the face of a global pandemic?
That's the real story here.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll dive into next.
Okay, well, I can't wait to hear it.
Welcome back.
All right.
So we're talking about the major challenge Midea faced.
Right when the pandemic
When the pandemic hit, just as they launched this partnership.
With Manchester City.
With Manchester City.
It's amazing how they managed to not only keep that partnership going, but really turn it into a success.
Yeah.
What exactly did they do?
So they had to completely rethink their approach. Find ways to connect with those fans, even when everyone was stuck at home.
Okay.
And one of their most successful initiatives was the hashtag #MeetHome Challenge.
Hashtag #MeetAHome Challenge. I feel like I saw something about that on social media.
You probably did.
Wasn't it something with toilet paper rolls and pillows?
Yes. You remember correctly.
Okay.
They challenged players and fans to recreate iconic football moments using everyday household items.
Okay.
So yeah, you'd have people using toilet paper rolls for goalposts.
That's hilarious.
Pillows as defenders, all sorts of crazy stuff.
That's brilliant.
It was hilarious.
Tailor-made for going viral.
It was brilliant.
Did it actually make a difference?
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of engagement?
The hashtag #MeetAHome Challenge generated millions of views.
Wow.
And engagement.
Across all the platforms.
Across social media platforms.
So they really tapped into something there.
They did.
Okay, that's one way to adapt.
Yeah.
What other tricks did they have up their sleeves?
Well, they also capitalized on the fact that stadiums were empty.
Oh, yeah.
You see, with no fans in the stands.
Right.
There was suddenly a lot more space for LED advertising. Midea saw this as an opportunity.
Make lemonade out of lemons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They strategically leveraged that increased visibility to get their brand in front of a global television audience.
That's thinking on your feet.
It was, they turned a negative situation into a positive,
But it wasn't just about the marketing.
No, you're right.
They also made some moves to align with Manchester City's stance on things like
Yes.
social issues.
Absolutely.
Like racism and the Black Lives Matter movement.
They understood that a successful partnership goes beyond just brand visibility.
Oh, okay.
It's about shared values and making a positive impact by aligning themselves with Manchester City's commitment to these really important causes.
Yeah.
Midea demonstrated that they were not just a sponsor, but a partner who shared the same values.
It sounds like they were hitting all the right notes.
They were.
During a really difficult time.
It was a masterclass in adaptability.
Okay.
And, thinking on their feet.
But the pandemic wasn't going to last forever.
True.
So did they just go back to the original plan?
Well, not quite.
Okay.
They kept that momentum going.
All right.
With a series of really creative campaigns and activations.
Okay, let's hear about them.
We've got the hashtag Midea World Class Awards.
Okay.
The hashtag Taste Tactics campaign.
Hashtag Taste Tactics.
And their community initiatives.
Yeah.
With City in the Community.
Okay.
CITC.
Okay, let's unpack those a little bit.
Okay.
First up, the hashtag Midea World Class Awards.
Yes.
What were those all about?
So remember the ice cream deck?
Uh-huh.
And its focus on appealing to everyone?
Yeah.
Well, this campaign was a perfect example of that in action.
Okay.
It tapped into the competitive spirit of football.
Right.
And celebrated both players and fans.
Okay.
So they had categories like world-class save, world-class goal, and fans could vote for their favorite moments from the season.
Oh, cool.
So it wasn't just about Midea.
Right.
It was about celebrating the sport itself. A very clever way to really engage those fans.
And associate themselves with those moments, too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you on that one.
Good.
But I'm a little lost.
Okay.
On this hashtag Taste Tactics campaign.
Hashtag Taste Tactics.
How do you connect home appliances to football tactics?
It does sound a bit unusual.
Yeah, it seems like a stretch.
But they actually pulled it off.
Okay.
In a really fun and engaging way.
All right. How?
They brought in Manchester City players and professional chefs to create recipes inspired by famous football plays.
Okay.
So you might have a dish called like the counterattack curry, the possession pasta, things like that.
Okay, so now that you explain it, it actually makes sense.
Right.
It's unexpected, it's fun.
Yeah.
And it gets people thinking about Midea products in a new way.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It wasn't a direct sales pitch,
right,
but a really clever way to associate the brand with things that people were already passionate about.
Okay.
Football food.
Yeah.
And even a bit of humor.
You've got to appreciate that kind of creativity.
Absolutely.
But let's not forget their work with City in the Community.
CITC.
CITC.
Yes.
Manchester City's charity arm.
Right.
This seems to go beyond just marketing and branding.
It does.
Right.
Their involvement with CITC allowed them to demonstrate their commitment to social responsibility.
Okay.
So they partnered on projects in communities both in Manchester and globally.
Okay.
Using football to promote healthy lifestyles for kids.
Oh, cool.
Supporting community gardens.
Right.
All sorts of great initiatives.
So it's about more than just selling appliances.
It is.
It's about making a positive impact.
Absolutely.
And building goodwill for the brand.
You got it.
It all sounds incredibly impressive.
It is.
But I have to ask,
how
did they actually measure the impact of all these campaigns?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And that's what we'll dig into as we wrap up this deep dive.
All right, I'm excited to hear it. All right, so we've been talking about Midea's incredible journey.
Yeah, from swimming pools to football stadiums.
It's clear their strategic approach to these sponsorships,
absolutely,
especially with Manchester City, has been quite a game changer.
A real game changer.
But as you pointed out before,
the real question is,
did it actually work?
Did it actually work?
At the end of the day, it's all about results, right?
Results matter.
Did all this effort actually translate into tangible benefits?
Tangible benefits for Midea.
For Midea as a company?
Well, you can definitely see it.
Okay.
In their remarkable growth.
Yeah.
In global brand awareness.
Okay.
During this period.
So their objective from the beginning.
Exactly. That was their primary objective.
This is brand awareness.
Global brand awareness and
partnering with Manchester City.
A team with a massive global fan base.
Undoubtedly played a huge role.
Huge role.
In achieving that.
Yes.
We've also talked about how Brando really emphasizes that media value ROI.
Media value ROI.
Especially during the pandemic,
right,
when they took advantage of that increased LED presence in empty stadiums.
That was a brilliant move.
It was a really smart move.
They saw an opportunity and they seized it.
Yeah.
You know, it really demonstrates their adaptability, their commitment to maximizing their investment.
Okay.
They didn't just sit back and wait for things to get back to normal.
They were proactive.
They were proactive.
Okay.
They found ways to make the situation work to their advantage.
Okay, so that's media value. But what about the overall impact on brand perception?
Brand perception.
How do you measure something like that?
Well, think about the associations Midea has built through these sponsorships.
Yeah.
They're aligned with a winning team.
Right.
They're creating engaging content for fans. They're actively involved in those community initiatives through CITC.
So you're saying all of those things contribute to a positive brand image.
Absolutely.
Which ultimately could lead to
increased sales, customer loyalty, things like that.
So it's not just about getting your logo out there.
No.
It's about building a brand story.
It's about connecting with people's passions.
Yeah.
And their values.
Midea understands that.
They do.
And they've done a really good job, I think.
Masterful job.
Of weaving those elements into their sponsorship strategy.
I agree.
They didn't stop there.
They did.
They expanded their strategy to include other teams within the City Football Group.
Smart.
Like New York City FC, Mumbai City FC.
Broadening their reach.
Yeah.
Tapping into new markets.
New fan bases while still maintaining that connection to the overall City Football Group brand.
It's all connected. They were thinking strategically about global expansion.
Yeah.
How to maximize their impact.
It's really impressive.
It is.
And then there's their partnership with Erling Haaland.
Oh, yes.
It's one of the most exciting...
One of the biggest names in football.
Young players. In the world.
Signing Haaland as a global brand ambassador.
Was a huge move.
Huge move.
It aligns Midea
with a rising star.
Rising star.
Reinforces their commitment to being at the forefront of the football world.
It feels like they're always one step ahead.
They are.
Anticipating trends and making strategic moves to stay at the top of their game.
That's a valuable lesson for any brand.
Yeah.
Considering sponsorship opportunities.
Right.
You know, it's not just about picking the biggest name or the most popular team at any given moment.
It's about finding the right partner.
It's about aligning your brand with partners who share your values, who are on a similar trajectory of success, and who offer those opportunities for creative and impactful activation.
This deep dive has been so insightful.
I'm glad to hear that.
Midea's sponsorship journey is a masterclass.
It is.
In strategic thinking, adaptability,
Absolutely.
and creative execution.
They didn't just ride the wave.
Yeah.
They created their own.
As we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. You said this story raises an important question for our listener.
It does.
And now I'm really curious to hear what that question is.
I'm glad you asked.
Okay.
So, considering Midea's incredible success, what other industries or brands could benefit from a similarly strategic and adaptable approach to sponsorship?
That's a fantastic question.
It is something to think about.
To leave our listener with. Right.
But before we wrap up, I'm curious, what happened to Brando?
Oh, good question.
Is he still at Midea?
Well, as innovators often do, Brando moved on to new challenges.
Ooh.
He left Midea to share his expertise.
With other brands.
And continues to be a leading voice in sponsorships.
So his legacy lives on.
Not just in those Midea partnerships,
but in the inspiration he gives to marketers worldwide.
His story shows the power of strategic thinking,
creative execution, and data-driven approach
to succeed in the world of global sponsorships.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. It's been a wild ride, right?
It has, from reactive to global, data-driven.
Midea's story shows how powerful sponsorships can be.
And they didn't just focus on the big names.
No, they connected with local audiences too.
Thinking globally, acting locally, key to their success.
For sure. So as we wrap up, let's bring it back to you, the listener.
What's the one thing you can apply to your own life?
Think about that ice cream deck.
How can you use that framework for your own decisions?
Whether it's your career, a project, even dinner.
Having a system to evaluate your options can change everything.
What are your must-haves? What are you flexible on?
Having that clarity helps you prioritize, make choices that fit your goals.
And remember, like Midea, don't be afraid to adapt.
The world's always changing. Be flexible, open to new things.
That's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
Strategic thinking, plus that willingness to adapt.
Seize the moment. Open yourself up to possibilities.
Midea's journey proves that even big brands need to shift their thinking.
It's inspiring to see them go from chasing everything
to making deliberate choices that led to real success.
So next time you face a tough decision, remember Midea.
Take a deep breath, channel your inner Brando,
And ask yourself,
what's my ice cream deck? What are those key ingredients for success?
it's about intention, strategy, making choices you believe in.
And who knows, maybe you'll find amazing partnerships, just like Midea.
That wraps up our deep dive into Midea's global sponsorships.
Hope you found it insightful.
Remember, strategic thinking isn't just for corporations.
It's for anyone who wants to make the most of their choices.
Achieve their goals.
If you want to learn more about Midea and Brando's work,
We'll have links in the show notes.
until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.
And keep making those strategic choices.